Hi friends, welcome back to Donna's Bookshed. I'm Donna, and today we're going to be talking about my top 24 reads of 2024. Okay guys, so since I have 24 books, we're just going to get straight into it. And I'm not going to go like in depth in too many of these books. If like some of them I really feel like, then fine. But I'm just going to, kind of run through them. So the first book I'm gonna start with, and let me see, this is not in any particular order except for the number one book. The number one book is definitely number one, but all the other books, they're not part of that. They're not in order. All right, so since I have 24 books, most of the books I have physical copies of, but some of them I only have them on Kindle. So we're gonna talk about the Kindle books first and then get into my physical copies. So first up, I have 24 Seconds from Now by Jason Reynolds. And this is a YA book that I really, really love. It's literally like the sweetest, sweetest book I've read all the year. It is so innocent, so sweet, so fun. It's about these two young people. They're in high school. They've been dating for like 2 years, and they're at a point in their relationship where they want to start getting physical. So this is their journey trying to think about that, rationalize it. They have talks with their parents, each other, that kind of thing. So it's that whole lead up to how that feels as a teenager wanted to take that step. And it was so well done. I absolutely loved this book. Next up, I had The Day God Saw Me as Black by Danielle Thomas. And I loved this book so much. So basically, this book is really like about this young lady coming to terms with her identity as a black woman, but also in the church, and then kind of meshing the teachings that she gets in the church versus her lived experience as a black woman, and really trying to bring those two things together, confront some of those things, confront some of those inconsistencies with the teachings versus the things she's seen happening in church, and it is so well done. She is not shy at all. Excellent read. I read A Novel Christmas by Charity Shanae. This was, I think, the first year I really made an effort to make like Christmas books, and this one really stuck out to me. It's about this author. She's having like a drop in her sales and stuff, so she gets called into her publishing house and she gets told, hey, your sales aren't doing the numbers that we know you can be doing, so instead now we want you to write a Christmas novel. And she is not a Christmas girly at all, so she basically goes to this town that's full of Christmas vibes, from everything is Christmas themed over there. And then she meets this guy. He's a firefighter, and their romance ensues. And it's such a sweet romance. Like, it's everything you want and you think about at Christmas time is happening there. It's such a cozy read. I also read Black Girls Breeding, and this one is a nonfiction book, and it's more about it's by Jasmine Marie, and she basically gives like tools to help you deal with stress and all the things that are happening in life. So they're like journaling prompts, there's like breathing techniques, and in the book she actually goes through step by step how to perform the breathing techniques. And I really love that. I think it's one of those books that will stay with me for a long time, that I can actually like practice when I need it to. So I really, really love that. Then I read Bitter and Sweet by Rhonda McKnight, and I love this one. The title of this book is so fitting. It's about these two sisters. They get called back home by their grandma because they have their family businesses failing, but these two sisters are at odds with each other. They're clashing. Their personalities are literally bitter and sweet. And this is one of those books where you're either gonna love one sister and hate the other, or you might kind of understand one, but the other one is gonna get on you. And both of them I loved things about both of them, but they also both annoyed me, because the one that was sweet, she was too sweet, and the one that was bitter, my God, she need a put. She was too bitter, right? So, and that was really good. Another one of my favorites was A Woman Is No Man by Etaf Rum. I hope I pronounced that correctly. This is a multi-generational book about these Palestinian women who have migrated to Brooklyn and their future generations, and really seeing how even though they're in Brooklyn, New York, but their Palestinian culture has also migrated with them. and trying to live that in that bubble of their life while the rest of society has their own morals, their own values, their own culture, everything, and seeing how those future generations, how it's harder for them to just stick within that one mold and really coming to terms of how they can mesh those two things together. Excellent read. I loved it, loved it. Next up, I had Passion Tie by Monique Ruffrey. And this is a book based in Trinidad and Tobago. And it's really like a reimagining of some events that happened after a Japanese Taipan player was taken out in Trinidad during the carnival season. I think this happened in like 2016. So this author has taken those circumstances and reimagined it. And I really loved it because it's a really big conversation about femicide and how women are treated with misogyny, like even not just women who have jobs that are not like top 10 in society, but all women facing the struggle and them really coming together and figuring out how to deal with it, and also getting the men folk involved. Like, hey, you have to protect us because we're being taken out by your kind, you know? So that was a really, really good one. I think I love that one most because of what the story was about and because it was based so much on the reality of what happened. I also loved I Was Told There Would Be Romance, and I have to remember who this was a new to me author, Marie Arnold. So this one was a really short one. It is also a YA and it's romance, and the cover is the cutest thing ever. The story was so good and funny. Like, this is about this young Haitian girl. She's from a Haitian family, so she is going to school, and her personality is out of this world. I loved her personality. I was cackling out loud so many times laughing at this girl, because sometimes it's so fun to look back and see the things that are important to you as a teenager, while everything else is happening in the world, but in your own teenage bubble, the things that you consider so important, so life changing, so devastating. It is funny as hell. And if she talks so much about like people expecting her to be able to do voodoo on them because she's a Haitian background. At one point in the story, her parents want to send her back home to Haiti because her grades was in the trash. And if you know, as a Caribbean person, like, if your grades are horrible, you're failing at school, they will threaten and they will send you back, right? So I really, really love this one. And that was the end of all the books that I only have on Kindle. So for the rest of the video, we got physical books. And I have This Could Be Us by Kennedy Ryan, and I absolutely love this book. And to be honest, I know this book is classified as a romance, but for me, the romance was my least favorite part of this book. I loved the other things in this book so much more. In here, we have this young woman. She is going through a separation from her husband because he is foul and needs to be in the trash bin. But she goes through the self-love journey, which I actually really, really love. It's done so well. It's really focused on her. And then her new partner has these two autistic sons, and their rep is also done so beautifully. So I absolutely, absolutely, absolutely love this book. Another favorite is Mirrored Heavens by Rebecca Roanhouse, and this is book 3 in the Earth and Sky series. I love Black Sun, I really like People Start, and I love Mirrored Heavens as well. This was such a nice conclusion to such an awesome fantasy series, and I will always recommend this series because I say it's if you like fantasy but you're not into all the crazy extra stuff, you don't want complicated magic, you don't want things that are going to have you like you got to stop and think and figure out too much, like things you can really get into and enjoy it with ease, then I would say this is an amazing series to try. It is wonderful. Loved it. All right. Island of Forgetting by Jasmine Seeley, and this book is based in Barbados. It is a multi-generational book about the family, and in here they really discuss how the things of the past, so you get to see what the generations did and how it affects the people in the future generation, like the from the grandpa to the sons to the great grands to the cousin. Like, you really get to see that multi-generational effect, and I really, really love this book. It is set in Barbados I think in 1962 is when Then another favorite of this year was Brandon Sanderson, A Way of Kings. Now I should probably oops I should probably hold all three because this Brandon Sanderson is a brand new author to me, and honestly I read and loved. I think about 6 or 7 books I read for him, and I love like 6 of them. So I'll just put all 3 his own here. So Elantris by Brandon Sanderson, Hero of Ages, and The Way of Kings. And these were all my top books from him. I loved all of them. The events in all of these books literally live rent free in my head. Now, this is for your high fantasy people, right? If you love fantasy books, you love a lot of magical systems, you like to get in depth in it, really interesting magic, you want to get to know a bunch of flawed people trying to overcome and, you know, making their way, then absolutely. If you want, I have seen like some videos on the order how to read this book, so that is what I was following. Actually, a friend of mine sent me like a picture, so I've just been following that. So I read Mistborn, I read Elantris, and I'm now into the Stormlight Archive, and I love all of these. I will give you explanation, but man, there are so many explanations on what these Brandon Sanderson Cosmere books are about. I don't want to make the video extra long when, you know, it's really out there. Another new to me author is ML Wang, and this is Blood Over Bright Haven. This is a recent read, but I really like it because it wasn't what I was expecting. It wasn't like the typical thing. So this book has a bit of a Babel feel to me. I read Babel, I loved it, and there's a part of this book that kind of gave you that dark academia, higher learning theme. So in this book, we meet this woman. She is studying to become a mage. And in this society, the archmages, the people who are high up there, they are usually men, and they only let women try out one every, I think, like 10 years to see if they can get in. And normally women are not accepted, but she has been accepted, and she discovers the secret along with this man that is working as a custodian, but he is from like another side of this country. I want to say the state, right? And they work together. They discover this horrible, horrible secret, and they are racing against time to right the wrongs. And it was so good because this character is not likable. The main character, she's not very likable, but you can understand. She's very ego driven. She's very like a male in a woman's body. So that's why it's kind of like, but you know, I like that she knew who she was and she was honest with herself. And the conclusion of this book was awesome. Really loved it. Another favorite is Curvy Girl Summer by Danielle Allen. I think this was my first book I read from this author, and I've since then gotten more of her work, but I haven't read it yet. And this was a really, really good and funny romance. I love this because this is about, excuse me, this is about this girl. She is basically racing against the clock because she wants to get in a relationship because she's about to turn 30, and her parents, her twin sister, passed away. And because the twin sister passed, the twin sister was more than one focus on marriage and kids and everything like that. And now because she's not there, the parents are really pressuring her to fill in that gap and give them grandbabies and all of that. So she's feeling it, and she wants some of that for herself too. And then she goes on this series of dates. The bartender starts looking out for her going on those dates, and their romance ensues from it. And there's a little bit of spice in here. It's not overwhelming, but the spice in here is so, 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 so good. Loved it. Another new to me author that was also very surprising is Angela Jackson Brown, and she wrote Homework. This is a historical fiction novel. I absolutely love this book, and I was very surprised by it. I took a chance on this book, and I'm so happy I did because it turned out to be one of my favorite books of the year. This book has a lot of grief in it. It talks about the main girl in here, Rose. She's studying so that she can be able to do this exam, to be able to get her rights, to be able to vote. It is about family coming together. It is so much in here. She is married to a man that she is pregnant for someone else. This book is so good. Read this book. Read this book. Another awesome book that was also a new to me author, Blood at the Roots by Ladarian Williams. This book came out this year, and it was described as if Harry Potter went to a HBCU, and that's exactly what it is, and I absolutely loved it. This book is full of Black boy magic, Black boy joy overcoming, Black boy brotherhood, because he has a little boy that he's adopted as his brother in here, and it is so sweet. Their relationship, I absolutely loved it. book 2 is supposed to be coming out in 2025, and the cover for that is also awesome. Can you see this cover? This cover is gorgeous. Absolutely loved it. Get you some of this. And there are so many cultural references and things in here. I really, really love that. An anticipated read for me this year was The Eternal Ones by Namina Forna, and this is the conclusion for the what is it called series? The Gilded Ones is the name of the series, and this book came out. This was the third and final book in the series. It came out this year, and I can't tell you, I was waiting so long for this book, and I am so happy I got to read the conclusion of this book. This is one of those books where years from now I feel like I'll reread it and still love it. Like, I reread the first 2 books before I moved on to this one this year, and it was still great. They were all still great. I kept all the same ratings. Nothing changed. In this book, we follow Decca. She is in a society where the gods, people have turned against the gods, and now you can either have normal red blood or your blood can run gold, which means you've been touched by the god, which is a bad thing. Her blood runs gold, and because that's a bad thing, she is put through hell and high water, and there are lots of secrets. There are some twists and turns. She finds out some things in this book that lets you know that what they believe about people with gold blood is not necessarily true, and it has some really good found family here. It's a coming of age, it's a young love, it's discovering that the gods are not perfect. It is awesome. Read the series if you haven't yet. Make it a priority in 2025. Another surprising read for me was How to Save Babylon by Sophia Sinclair, and this book was absolutely stunning. I loved this book. I loved the way the author told her story in this book. Basically, it is of this story of this young girl. She is being raised in Jamaica, and she is being raised in a Rastafarian household, and it is her struggles to deal with that Rastafarian identity versus what is out there in the rest of the secular world. And it's her coming to terms with that, also dealing with her having parents who are very staunch. Her dad is very, very staunch Rasta, and you know, those imbalances in terms of how she's viewed as a woman, as a female child. And it is an awesome book. If you haven't read this book and you're into memoirs, absolutely, you will not regret it. One of my favorite reads of the year. I'm looking at these lists, and so many of these books are by new to me authors, right? Another book I read and loved was Immortal Dark by Taijis Gurma. I try not to mispronounce it. And this book is another dark academia, and it is so beautiful. Let me show you all what the cover of this book looks like without the sleeve. This is just the cover, and it is gorgeous. And I got this just from the store regular. Like, I didn't have to order it, like special edition. It is so beautiful. So in this book, we meet these two people, Kidan and Susunius. So basically, Kidan, her sister is missing, and she is on a mission to find her sister. And then she starts communicating with her one known living relative, because their parents are gone. And that relative gives her instruction to come to Uxley University. But when she gets there and she gets to like her home that her parents own, there's a vampire living in there, Susanos, and she thinks that he has had something to do with the disappearance of her sister. And let me tell you, Kadan is a spiraling psychomiss, right? She wants to get rid of this man. She's not above trying to kill this man. It is awesome. This is like one of those books. When I read enemies to lovers, I want real enemies. I don't want people that have some just random, stupid, silly misunderstanding and, oh my god, but he's so hot and I like him. No, I want people that really have real legit reasons to not like each other, that are actually trying to take each other out, and loved it. We're almost there. We have The Maid and the Crocodile by Jordan Ufueko. And this is actually a favorite author of mine. And I say favorite because I've only read, this is my third book I've read by her. As far as I know, it's only those three main books she have. She wrote Raybearer and Redemptor, and now has this one. And you can see, and the cover is so pretty. And in this book, we meet this young girl. She is living in this society where she was orphaned, and she was in this home, but now she's kind of aged out, so she has to go find work and do things for herself. But she has a disability; something is wrong with one of her feet. She meets this character here, the crocodile, and together, you just see a journey of them both trying to fit into this world where they are. And there's also a little bit of magic from the gods and stuff. It is just a little bit here. If you read um, those other books, Raybearer and Redemptor, I strongly suggest you read this one too, because it's one of the characters from those that duology comes forth in this one, and you see their story. Okay, I position 2, but I'm not sure if it's my number 2 book for the year, but it's just in this video position 2. We have A Love Song for Ricky Wild by Tia Williams, and this is such a sweet romance novel, such a sweet romance novel. If you like books set back in the day, like books that are set in a particular era that have that atmosphere, yes. So in this book, we meet Ricky, and she is part of the family that has their own like funeral parlor dynasty, but she doesn't want to do that. She's into flowers and stuff, so she wants to branch out and do her own, but her family's kind of doubting her, so she moves to Harlem. She gets in this apartment. She gets an adopted grandmother that is so sweet and so nice. We hear from her best friend. There's some things that are funny in this book, and then we meet the other partner in here, and he is actually from a different time. So it is these two people meeting across time, across space, and coming together. There's some magical realism in here, but it is so sweet and so well done. Absolutely loved it. And the cover is gorgeous. And finally, for my number 1 book of the year, the top spot, the top dog, the big pimpin', it is The Reformatory by Tananarive Due. And let me tell you all, right? I am not a horror girly. I dibble and dabble in thriller from time to time. But when it comes to things like ghosts and demonic entities and anything that could keep me up at night, I am not reading that shit. I am not doing it. But this book, I've been seeing people talk up and down about how good this book was. And I was like, you know what? I wanna try it. I'm curious. I wanna see if I'm gonna like it too. And I'm so happy I was curious, because I actually loved this book so good. If you don't know, this book is about this boy. His name is Robbie. He's about 12 or 13 years old. He and his teenage sister, they live together, and one day someone makes some advances on his sister, and he don't like that, so he stands up for her. And because he stands up for her, he ends up getting sentenced to 6 months at the reformatory. And this school has a really bad reputation of either boys not really coming back, or they somehow end up dying, or they go in there and they just stay in there for really long periods. And his sister, she is sad. She's done. She doesn't like that, because he is only like 12 or 13, and you're sending him away to this place for defending her honor. Absolutely not. So in this book, we get to see some fun family, because we get to see the sister really like rally the people around to try to help and get her brother out of there. Then in this place, the brother has a gift of sight, so he can see ghosts and hear their stories and things like that. And I'm gonna be honest with you, the ghosts and stuff was the least scary part of this book. You see the people that this young boy has to deal with at this school, absolute demons. They are wicked, they are spiteful, they are heinous. Okay, and he really went through some things. And to know that this book was partially based on a real life place, it is heartbreaking. So I don't want to say I enjoyed this book because of the things that he went through, but I would say I loved the storytelling in this book. I absolutely loved it. My favorite book of this year, uncontested. And for somebody that loves fantasy and romance, those are usually my top 2 categories: fantasy, romance, and then literary fiction. For this to be my favorite book, awesome read. So yeah, guys, that was my quick top 24 reads of 2024. Comment down below and let me know if you've read any of these books or if we have any top books in common. And I'll see you in the next one. Bye.